Hey everybody, Z Garcia here. Today I'm taking a look at Witchdom. This is a card game in which you are going to be drafting witches, drafting potions, and the ingredients that it takes to make those potions, and ultimately brewing up some goodness, trying to get the most victory points. You can also get some familiars and bring them into your little group, your little witches group. But ultimately, this lighthearted game is all about knowing what to collect and when to trigger those things off. Let me show you how it works. We'll come on back. I'll tell you what I think of it. Here's what the game looks like set up for 2 players. Each player is going to have their witch here in their color. They have one starting potion card. In this case, the first player gets this one, the second player gets this one. And then they also have 2 starting novice witches that have a matching symbol on the back. That is going to be their opening hand. We've seated the board here. It's divided into 3 zones: the mountain, the forest, and the coast there, the sea. And then each of them has 3 tokens from the bag here, and then 3 witches on this side, and 3 of these potions down on this side, and they're matching decks up there. There's also some tokens that are goals in the game. They'll give you victory points. They're also one of the end game triggers. Once we're down to just one of those, then the end game will be triggered. We'll finish out that round, play one more round, then figure out the victory points. The players are going to be taking all of these resources and brewing potions with them, all right? And so each player on their turn is going to do one of 2 things. You can collect or you can rest. We begin with collect here at the top, the A type of turn. If you collect, you're going to take a witch from your hand. You're going to play that to your active pile. If you already had a witch there, you cover up the previous one. And then you're going to collect the number of things it says from the corresponding areas that it shows. In this case, I get 1 thing from the mountain, I get nothing from the forest, and I get 1 thing from the coastal region here. And so I can take whatever I want to. It could be this card, and if so, it goes over here in the sort of standby area. These have not been brewed yet. If I take a resource, I just take the resource and hang on to it. And if I take a witch, I am going to put that in my hand and have another witch I can play later on to collect resources. If it has that symbol, it lets me refresh either all these cards, or one of these groups of resources before I collect. And so that is what's going on there. And so if I did this, perhaps I would take, because I am trying to brew this, perhaps I would take that one. That's going to help me brew this. There's a cost there. And I get 1 thing from the top, 1 thing from the bottom here. Perhaps from down here, I'll just take this witch. Once I'm done, that's the end of my turn, then these things are going to replenish. Draw a new card and put it there. We reach in here and put a new token at the top, and it goes on to the next player. And that is what a collect turn looks like for the most part. You can also brew at the end of your turn. We're going to come back to brewing in just a moment. Before I move on from collecting, though, I do want to mention there's 2 more things you can do. You can take one of these and flip it over to the other side and collect the corresponding tool. It shows you what it's going to be down here in this corner, okay? So you're allowed to do that. If I really want this candle, for example, I can take this, flip it, it's a candle. Some of these recipes need tools. So for example, this one, let's see. This one over here needs these 2 resources, but I also need a candle tool and this blue crystal tool, which would be neither one of these, but there's a candle there. So there you go. The other thing, which is an advanced option, is you can take one of these witches and flip it over to the animal side, and this is a little familiar that you can perhaps train. And again, it sits over on this side of your board until you finish it, and once you finish either a potion or an animal, it moves over to the other side over here with that symbol for your clan. Now let's talk about option B here, which is resting. Option B entails that you've played some witches already, at least 1. So let's say this player here has already played that and already played that. And they're going to take a rest turn. It's very simple. You are going to collect all the cards in the stack of witches here back to your hand, and then you get any 2 resources from the board. So maybe they'll take this one and this one. And with that done, then we replenish the board once again. put what's missing out there to bring each of these up to 3, and it is the next player's turn. That's all there is to it. So let's go ahead and jump the game forward a little bit so I can show you how to brew these potions. It's my turn over on this side. I'm going to play this witch right here on top of the stack of witches. I'm going to activate it. It lets me take 2 from this region right here. And I'm going to take 1, and I'm going to take 2. I'm going to take this one again. I could put this in my hand, and it's another witch, or I could flip it over and set it over here as an animal. I'm just going to take it into my hand. Having done that, I am now going to, I did this, and I collected, and now I can brew. To brew, I have to have the necessary resources for whatever I want to brew. In this case, I have this, and I have this, and I have that tool right here. And I need a witch, the active witch, to be able to brew that potion. So they indeed can do that. And so I'm going to spend the necessary things. These two go away. This tool moves over to the other side because it's now been used. And this witch and the thing she brewed move over as well. So I no longer have access to her. The tools are repeatable. I can keep using this, so I'll get a discount on that, basically. And now this will work towards that requirement of it there, for example. But I do lose the witch, and I move the potion over. If you are short on something, let's say that I didn't have the tool or one of these resources, you are allowed to spend 2 matching things for something you are missing. And then after you brew, you should check if you completed any of these objectives. So it's, for example, having that tool, having one of those brewed potions, that animal, 3 different, 2 yellow witches that have brewed something, or 2 potions, right? So for example, this is sort of the difficult side and the easy side, and you set this based on the number of players. But if it looked like this, when I brew this, assuming that's still there, I also get this. I've now brewed 1 blue potion. And so this all moves over, and I collect that token. That's going to be what triggers the end of the game, is getting down to just 1 of those, or more rarely, 1 of these 2 piles running out. And so this would be reset. We put out a new token right here, and it's the next player's turn. That is how you brew. There's also rules for collecting the animals. And again, this is an advanced variant. But if you have an animal over here, and you're not brewing something at the end of your turn, you could spend this resource and move the animal over to the side, and you're also collecting animals then. You're just sort of making sets of them. You collect each one only once. So if I already had this crow, I couldn't get another one. That's redundant. You don't need more than 1. And so endgame scoring would be all the victory points on everything here at the top. You are going to get victory points here for the different tools you have. So if I have that, and I have that, and I have that, and I've used them all to brew something, so they've moved over to this half of the table here, the board, then I have 3 different things. That's 6 victory points. And then if I'm using the animals, which like I said is an advanced scoring mode, then I'm also going to get a number of victory points based on the different animals I have taken. And this reminds you, it's if you would brew but don't, and they each necessitate 1 specific ingredient to train, quote unquote, that animal. So there you go. That is how the game flows: playing witches, collecting resources, brewing, or recalling your stack of witches and grabbing a couple of things, and it's the next player's turn. So as you can hopefully see from the overview, this is a very vibrant game. It's lovely, it's colorful, it really pops on the table. It looks great, and it is a fairly easy game to get into. It's got an understandable theme. The iconography is well laid out. Everything, makes sense what you're looking at. Components are going to lend to that ease of entry and to the lovely look on the table. So from that point of view, sort of the presentation, the game really is a winner. And I would say that if you are someone who enjoys this lighthearted kind of tongue-in-cheek, bubble, bubble, toll and trouble kind of silly theme, right, then you are going to enjoy this one. Thematically, at the very least, you're gonna enjoy what's going on in the game here. I like the set collecting being one of the central mechanisms. By playing a witch, and based on where she lets you gather, that's where you can go and gather, up your potions or witches or whatever. I like that. Mechanically, it's very straightforward. It takes 20 seconds to teach, and everybody immediately starts to see the things you can do. It's not particularly strategic. In this game, you are reacting a lot. The things will change before you have a chance to go again, so it doesn't really matter if this one witch can take 2 from the middle instead of from the top, because what's there is random. But it feels like you're able to have, if you do have characters in your hand that can take from the different places, then you can assess the situation and go, I want to be able to take from the top right now, from the mountain. Guess what? I have a character that lets me do that. I was smart enough to draft one that gave me access to the mountains, whereas the other ones did not. So it does feel like a little something. You're making some decisions there. The gameplay itself, I find to be pretty straightforward. It's a little bit of a relaxing game. This one's not too demanding, and I think it's going to appeal to people that want something very low-key for the most part. This is not a game that has those... it's not going to have a lot of turn angst necessarily. It's not going to have a lot of sort of holding your breath and waiting and seeing what happens. It's not a game that I think is going to feel demanding, and I don't think I would necessarily want it to with this look. The game fits the look you are getting here. It's an easygoing game. The scores are not going to be tremendously high so that the math becomes a problem. This is one that I think could appeal to a lot of people, and especially, again, mixed age groups, I think. If they love this sort of Disney witches kind of vibe, I think then it could be a good one. A couple of things I thought were kind of weird and I did not like, so I do want to mention that. And the game, again, isn't revolutionary for me. I'm not thinking you got to go out and get this game. I am saying if you like the theme and you like the look, this might be one you like. If you have a lot of games, you are a connoisseur of board gaming, this might bore you. It doesn't really bring a whole lot that's new to the table. But a couple of small negatives, okay? I played the solo game and I couldn't quite... It feels incomplete. It needs more than the little bit of room they dedicated to it. The rules for solitaire start here, and they go into that, and that's it. And it's not quite enough. It seems a little... Yeah, I don't know. It needed a little more. I'm having a hard time understanding, okay, so you play against an AI witch, like, someone who sits there and has sort of a thing they do, and it doesn't work well enough for me to try to keep beating my head against it and trying to understand, wait, what do I do and when do I do it and why? And it's telling me I should draft to try to complete goals, but then if you play easy mode, they don't care about goals. So I need more examples, so I don't love it. I think it's a little problematic. It needs a little something. And then the other thing would be that the animal scoring, which is the other optional thing, so both of these things are technically optional. Solo mode, you don't have to play solo mode, and the animal scoring, you don't have to do. I think the animal scoring, I do want to do it, because I don't like having to ignore the backs of one entire deck of cards. I think the scoring's weird for the animals. It ramps up quite a bit more than, say, the tools do. And I know you need the tools to brew more things, but... The animal scoring gets so good so quickly. Having one animal is 3 points. Having 2 is 7. Having 3 different animals, that's 12 points. You get all 5, that's 25 points. It's so good, you don't want to ignore it. If somebody else is going for it, you need to be going for it. And at that point, it changes the focus a little bit. I don't think you can really sort of if you're playing with 3 and the other 2 people are getting animals, and they're very easy to get. It's very easy to draft the one and bring them into your clan. It's so easy that if they're doing it and you're not doing it, I think you're doing yourself a disservice in the game. So there you go. That's what I think of it. Ultimately, I do like this one. And it's one that, I would be happy to bring out and show to people, again, in kind of a low-key setting. This is not one I'm going to be showing anybody because I want to impress them, because I want to wow them, because it's like, hang on to your socks. This is what board gaming is in this day and age. No, but this is super pretty. It's pleasant. It's enjoyable. And the game, not counting the solitaire mode, works nicely. It's got a good pace to it. It's really simple, sort of pleasant, recipe fulfillment. Collect little things. They're nice and wooden tokens. Trade them in. Look what I made. I made a potion. They have fun little Latin names at the bottom of the potions. This is pleasant. I enjoy it. And again, I think if this is all talking to you, then maybe it's one you want to check out. For me, this one's going to get a 7 out of 10. That's a seal of approval. I think a lot of folks out there would enjoy this game. I don't know if they would necessarily be watching this video, because this is more for folks that maybe aren't huge board gamers. But if you can think of someone who would enjoy it, maybe you can send them a link to this video or maybe buy them a copy as a gift, and I think they'll be very thankful. So there you go, folks. That is Witchdom. That is a 7 out of 10 from me. That's going to do it. My name is Z Garcia. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.
Looks really clean and lovely and well put together. The second thing that caught my eye was that it looks like Wingspan.
Yeah, it definitely feels bigger than a deck of cards.
Yeah.